Hey, so just before I start this video, I want to say that I might be looking a little bit all over the place. One, I have a script behind my phone, which is what I'm filming with because my actual camera battery is dead. Uh, but I have my script behind this phone, so I'm going to be looking up a lot. I might not look at the camera that much, so my eyes won't be totally where you think it should be, because I don't usually film on my phone. But yeah, I kept the script because I do get distracted very easily, so I thought I should have something to keep me on track. So here we go. Alright, so my name is Betsonot, and this is just going to be a quick introduction. I will mainly be talking about the casting for the Percy Jackson show. But before I start, I want to share a few things about myself. Mainly, or first of all, I guess, that I did just get a second set of braces. So I am relearning how to talk with them. So if I sound a little bit iffy, that's why. But I've been a Percy Jackson fan since 5th or 6th grade, and a fun fact about me is that I share the same birthday as Percy Jackson. And trust me, I've bragged about that since the second I started reading the books. I find this fandom and this community to be really important to me because this is how I started getting invested in mythology and how I first discovered how people all over the world can consider the same thing to be important to them for different reasons, but to still be able to talk about it to other people without getting completely toxic. Potterheads, I'm looking at you. I'm one of you, but still, yikes. It was my first time really being a part of something like that, and it was really special to me. And it also secured the hold that fanfiction has on me, so that's really good. So I've enjoyed that as well. I also found it really inspiring because even though they twist ADHD a bit for world building purposes, I found it really cool to find some main characters that I could relate to because they had ADHD just like me. And I just want to preface this next part by saying I did get diagnosed way earlier than a lot of girls and just people in general tend to. I was really lucky with my diagnosis, but I still get a lot. It's still hard. So here's the next part. I just want to say I'm able to relate to Percy because that feel in the beginning of the first book, he was really, really deep in that feeling of knowing that there's something wrong with you and that something I can relate to. And even though you know what that thing is, knowing that you're never going to be able to change that, even if you work on it, and knowing that it's still going to be hard for you no matter how hard you try, and never knowing when it's going to get better was really relatable. I also found it really cool that Annabeth was smart and had ADHD, and if I say so personally, I also think I'm pretty smart. I found that to be really inspiring for myself as something that I could relate to, so I know that might seem hypocritical of me, considering what I'm going to say later, but I'll explain it later. But enough about me. I want to preface my next section by saying that I'm not going to be talking about the casting for Percy. I'm mainly going to be talking about the casting for Annabeth, and I'm going to touch a bit on the casting for Grover. So after this is going to be a quick disclaimer, and then we're going to get ready for my main section, alright? So, quick disclaimer. I'm sure the actress playing Annabeth is amazing, and judging by her past roles, just knowing that she has some is good enough for me, and that I'm sure she's an amazing actress, but this really was not what I was expecting. Alright, so as much as I love seeing people of color, especially women of color, represented in the media, I don't believe that this is real representation. Real representation is making new roles for people of color to step into, and real representation isn't replacing well-established white characters with a person of color. And I didn't think that they would do that, considering that for over a decade, everyone has considered Annabeth to be white, because that is how she is described in the books. Not to mention the anger that the community expressed when Annabeth in the movies didn't have blonde hair. So, we've experienced this before, and I know that's not the same thing, not at all, but I'm just saying we've had discourse over Annabeth's appearance before, so that's just something to keep. That's just a receipt. But sorry. I also want to compare how I feel with Annabeth being a person of color compared to Grover being a person of color, because I feel like those are two different situations. And to the person who called me racist for not mentioning the Grover casting, this one's for you. In the books, Grover's skin color, as far as I remember, was never specified. So when he was in the movies and he was a black man, that was fine. And honestly, I loved it. It was really cool to see that because there was no race to replace. Bars. I will admit that I was kind of holding out for a black Grover because I found that Grover was literally the best thing from all those movies. But I'm still happy to see that we have someone that is a person of color in a role that didn't have an assigned race. So I'm saying if you're going to take a well-established character and make them a person of color, do that for a role that doesn't have a race assigned to it. Don't do it to a role that is well established in a community that is over a decade old, and suddenly make them a person of color when they are a white blonde girl born in Virginia. And I'm just going to say, I'm from Maryland. I'm very familiar with white girls from Virginia. And not to mention, she lived in California. She has tanned ish skin. Like, I just find it kind of ridiculous. The correct way to do representation is not replacing a race with another. It's making new roles for people of color so they can shine on their own alongside people that are white. And I don't believe that making Annabeth a person of color was the correct decision. But I don't feel that it will be detrimental at all to this plot, but I do feel like it will change Annabeth's character, which is really not what anyone was looking for. I love representation, and as a person of color, as a woman of color, seeing women in color in the media is so important to me, but I did not want it to be like this. And before people say, oh, Annabeth being white didn't have anything to do with the character, there was those parts that where she was trying to get over that dumb blonde stereotype. And they're not really prominent in the story, but they were there, and I feel like there was no reason to change her race, but there was a reason not to. And I think that's what should have been important. So, yeah. Alright, so this is the end of the video. Thank you for sticking and watching, if you did. Even if you don't even care about this topic, leave a like. I don't care if you subscribe or not. I just want to put my opinion out there. I just want people to be able to see it. And for all those people that are happy that there's a person of color, sure, be happy. I'm glad there is. But I just didn't want it to be like this. And I'm just happy to be able to share my opinion. So if you want to hear more from me, I guess you can subscribe. I don't really care. But I might be putting some more videos. I might not. And when the show comes out, I probably will be sharing my opinion. I will say, I will say that. But it'll probably be a little bit before I share more videos. But other than that, I guess have a great rest of your day or week or night or whatever the fuck. I was not gonna curse. Okay. Oopsies. Peace.